Hi, and welcome to template development number 3 in radial line development. Now the object we're making today has a double frustum on it. Here's the drawing, and as you can see it's a cone which is tipped over on its side, but we're going to draw this in the upright position, which means that the base dimension will be 5 inches in diameter, as this is a round cone. And the top orifice will be cut on a slope of 30 degrees, but have a starting dimension of 2 inches at the top. And there is a vertical height to the top section of 6.5 inches. You'll also note that the starting point for this circular feature, which is the cut in the base, is set 2 inches down off of the right hand bottom edge. So let's get this out the way and start to draw the object. So we're just going to pick a polyline and place it on screen. Move this thing to the right, and then it's a 5-inch diameter base, so 5, then enter. We can just zoom in a little tiny bit. And then I'm going to move this up by 6.5 inches. 4, 5, 6.5. And then because it's a 2-inch top orifice and a 5-inch bottom, that gives us 3. So half of 3 is 1.5 inches. I'm going to come back 3 clicks and click. And now I'm going back 4, give me a 2-inch top opening, and then C to close it. So that's the basic shape before we do any of the frustum cuts. Now this first frustum cut is going to be a polyline off this top edge here, and if you remember from what we did with some of the cuts when we were looking at a rotational cut rather than a linear cut, we start the rotation at 0 like it says on screen there. If we pull this across this way, you can see that the rotation is 180 degrees. If we add our 30 degrees to it, we're going to end up down here somewhere. And as this top section is 2, I'm going to use a measurement of 3. So we would type shift 2, then the length, so that will be 3, then the open angle bracket, which is shift comma, and then 210, and then enter. And that will give us our top frustum cut. Now I'm going to trim out this top piece. We don't need all of this extra. And the end of the line I'll just put on there, and these two. So I'm just going to take off those 2 lines, and that's our top of the object. Now we have a feature on the bottom which we're going to draw with a circle. We're going to need to go to center radius circle, and according to the drawing, and I'll just quickly put it back on screen, we're going to take the center point 2 inches down off the right hand edge. Okay, so we're going from this point here 2 inches downwards. So circle from that edge 3, 4, so that's 2 inches, and click. And then we're going to pull it up to this lower left hand edge and click. Now I'm going to trim out this piece here so that we can see the actual cut that's going to be required, but because I'm going to need to develop over here to the side, I'm going to leave this section on right now, okay, so that I've got something to develop against and to develop our circles off of. Right, the next thing I'm going to do is just like we've done before, because we've now put these pieces together, even though we close the object, I'm going to use the fillet command and select both of these edges to find a apex point. And last but not least, we're looking at quite a lot of details here. We're going to have these intersection points developed to the right. All of these points where they intersect our segment lines are going to be developed to the right. So we're going to need something a little bit finer than 12 segments. So I would suggest we're going to do this one out of 24. Now that basically means that if we're going to put a bottom half circle on, I'm going to use the 2-point command. I'm going to come up to the lower left hand side and pull this thing across to the right hand side and click, and then I'm going to trim out the extra lines like so, and that leaves us with what looks like a bit of a upside down ice cream cone, but that's fine. The next thing we're going to do is, if we're going to use a 24 segment cone this time to get the detail in it, that this half of a circle down here is going to be divided into 12. So let me just hit escape there, click on the command line and type divide to divide. It said select the object, so I'm going to just select the arc that we've just put on there, and now it says the number of segments, and I'm going to say 12. Now remember, if we are developing from what is a view of the well, almost a plan view, I suppose, of half of the circle, that we're going to be developing up to the baseline, be it there or not, right? So this whole section here is the only bit we really want, but it's going up to the baseline and then up to the apex. So I'm going to grab a polyline, I'm going to come down and just zoom in a little tiny bit, and maybe turn my F9 key off so I can get nice and close to this edge, and then find out where the first, and there it is, that's the first node point. So I'm just going to bring this thing up to there. Now I'm going to do a repeat on the polyline. There's our second point. Up to the base, and so on. Okay, I'm going to carry on doing this, and I'll see you when it's done. Okay, so that's the bottom section developed, with each one of the nodes now being projected through to the base, and now we just have to project all of these individual projections up to the apex point. That's going to be a similar process. I'm just going to come up to there and then go up to the apex point to there, and then come down the other side to there. Okay, so again, I'm going to continue on putting these on, and I'll see you when I'm done. And so there we are. So we've now got all of the lines developed from the node points, and they are then all turned so that they reach the apex. The next thing to do is to develop the lines on the intersection. So let me zoom into the base here. So we have to develop this point here directly across to the outer edge. And then we're going to go up each one of these in turn, developing everything to the outside edge. Sorry, this is the laborious part. Once we've done here, we're going to do exactly the same thing with the cut line on the top. Now these ones do get very, very close. Again, straight across to the right. Right there. And we're done. Now, just like before, we're going to use a circle with a center radius on it. So we're going to need to change the circle type back to center radius. And we're going to attach our first circle at the apex point of the cone and bring it down until we hit that first cut line. And that is where the frustum hits the side of the object, right there. And now we're just going to propagate the rest of it by hovering over, doing a right click, repeat circle, and then pulling it down to that point there. Repeat circle, hover over, do a click, okay, and then repeat circle, and so on. So right click, repeat circle, pick from that point and pick the end point, repeat circle, pick from that point, pick the end point. And we're going to go all the way down this edge with every line, including the bottoms, that we've developed. Okay, so I'll get to doing that and I'll see you when I'm done. And And as messy as it might seem, this is what we end up with. Each one of these lines are taken from the segment points up to the base. The lines are developed up to the apex, and then they're developed across to the right hand side. We've got some really close lines on here, so we're going to have to be careful, but not as close as the ones on the base there. And they go all the way down to that bottom edge. Now, just like before, we're going to start with a polyline, which is away from the edge, that surface, and we're just going to pull that thing down to give us a starting point. Then we need a circle, which is center radius, so we're already set up to measure it. And we're just going to pull that thing across to there. I then start measuring up 24 segments up that outside edge. So I'm just going to copy it from its center point, start there, and then start working my way up this edge until I have 24 points. After putting on all 24 of these, I'm going to be putting the lines going from that intersection right the way to the apex again. So again, I'll see you when it's done. And welcome back. Hopefully you should have something on screen that looks like this view here, with the segment radii spread up around this outer edge of the circle, the bottom one, and then where the points of intersection with each end comes in, radial lines going to the apex point. Our next task is to define, as we've got this lower edge here, we're going to define from this point where this up and over frustum will be. So I'm just going to change my line again to a red one and come in nice and close, because we do have very close lines on this. And I'm just going to go across from, with a polyline, from there across and up to that point, across and up. This one just goes up the once, and you'll see what I mean when I get to the bottom section. So we're going right the way up through to the middle. So two more. We got one there. Oh dear, no, just attached it to the wrong point. So one right there, then up to that top point, then back down the other side. So let me get in closer. From there to there, and we should end up on we should end up on the outer line. Oh, just make sure I am where I am supposed to be. I should be, that should be the outer line right there, and it is. So we're good, we're good. So I'm just going to break that one off at the moment, and then we'll have a look at what's going to happen on this one down here. We're going to be going up around to the top and then back down to the bottom again. So we're going to start, if we started here on this left hand side here, we're going to start right down the base on this one at the bottom. Okay, so again, polyline from that bottom point, we're coming across one and up one, across one and up one. We're just going to attach this one right the way. Let's zoom in a fraction so that I can see where I'm at. And this one, it's very, very essential you zoom right the way in. As you can see, there's two very, very close lines there. and then to the top, and then back down the other side. I'm sorry it's so close, but at the moment I've got to really get that there before I can like zoom it out a little bit and do more than one. Nearly there. 1, 2, and last but not least, 3. So basically that is the shape once I finish this thing off by putting the 2 sides on. So I'm just going to put a line from there to there. And the last one on the top. Just going to pull that down to the base. And apart from doing a little bit of curve fit on these 2 edges, which are still pretty prismatic because I've just gone point to point, that is our pattern. Okay. Right. Well, thanks for joining me. I hope that wasn't too long-winded, and I'll see you in the next exercise.